Now, before directly starting with the essentials, let's just take a look again at the contract. What is a contract? How is a contract made? We said contract is made when there is an offer. Second, when that offer gets accepted. So when there is an offer and there is an acceptance. Now with this acceptance, what you need is promise and consideration. These offer and acceptance make promise, and when promise forms consideration, you have an agreement. So you have four things. Now when this agreement has the enforceability of law, it gets the support of law, what you get is a contract. So five things make a contract. We have already covered offer and acceptance, promise and consideration, and what is an agreement. What we are studying now is the fifth point in the contract, the essential elements of a valid contract. How does a contract get enforceability of law? When does law support a contract? Law supports an agreement or a contract when all these things are present in a contract. If any of these things is not present, the contract becomes void, except for free consent. If free consent is not present, then the contract becomes voidable. So now let's just take each of these essentials one by one and study them. First is intention to create a legal relationship. Now this is one of the important points that is required in a contract. Now before starting with intention to create a legal relationship, I'll just like to say there are a couple more requirements that a contract needs to have for it to become valid, which are at least two parties, proper offer and proper acceptance. Now we've not covered these 2 points under the essentials because these two are very basic points. I need not tell you that for a contract to be existent you need two parties. It's very much understandable, it's self-explanatory. There's a person who requires to make an offer, and there needs to be a person who has to accept it. So you require two persons. One person can never make a contract. I cannot make a contract with myself. I can never sell a shirt to myself. What will I do? I'll give shirt to myself from left hand to right hand and money from right hand to left hand. That won't make sense. And what if I do not meet my promise? I do not honor my promise. My left hand does not give the shirt to right hand. Can I do a case against myself? Can I file a suit against myself? No, I can't. If I file a suit against myself for this, the court will adjudge me as a mental person. So a single person can never enter into contracts. A contract can never have only one person. So at least two parties are required for a contract. The next is proper offer and proper acceptance. Now about proper offer and acceptance, we've also covered this in our earlier videos. What is an offer? What are the rules to an offer? What is acceptance? Rules regarding valid acceptance. So all those rules should be met. This is the reason why we've not considered these 2 points under essentials, because they are self-explanatory or they have been covered earlier. Now we start with intention to create legal relationship. As I said, this is a very important point which a contract requires, possibly the most important point. If this essential is absent, you'll never have a contract. An agreement will never reach a stage of becoming a contract. It will always remain as an agreement only. So, for an agreement to become a contract, it is important that the parties who are entering into the contract, they have an intention to create a legal relationship with each other. They have an intention to legally bind each other. They have an intention such that if any of the parties do not perform their promise, do not honor their promise, the other party will drag him to the court. So, this is the kind of intention both the parties should have. But do you think we have such an intention in all the contracts, in all the agreements? Whatever agreements or contracts we make, do you think this kind of an intention is always present? Let's see. I'll just give you some examples. You know, you ask your friend, possibly you are hosting a birthday party. So you invite your friends for a dinner at your place. It's a party come dinner. Since it's your birthday, you make all the arrangements at your home. You prepare a nice dinner for them. You decorate your house. And what happens is they don't turn up. Now, they had accepted your offer. You had given them the offer of coming to your place and celebrating the birthday. They had accepted the offer. So you made all the preparations and they don't turn up. What do? Can you file a suit against them? Can you sue them? Can you get their presence enforced by the court of law? We'll see. One more example I'll give you. Let's say you and your friend decide to play football the next morning. You would decide that tomorrow, 7 a.m. in the morning, you'll meet at your compound and play football. You get up at 6:30, get ready, and you are present in your compound by 7 a.m. However, your friend doesn't turn up. He doesn't show up to play football with you. Mind you, you both had mutually decided it. That means you had an agreement. So now, do you have any legal remedies in this regard? We'll see. You must also have many times come across this situation. You ask your mother to clean the bedroom for you, the room where you stay, where you sleep. You ask your mother to clean it for you, and she says, yes, she'll clean it up. However, when you return back from college, the room is not yet clean. For this, can you file a police complaint against your mother? Can you go to the court and get your right of a clean bedroom enforced? We'll see. There was a case wherein a husband said to his wife that if she prepares a nice dinner for him, he will present her a ring, a diamond ring. So now, to get the ring, the wife presents, prepares a lavish dinner for her husband. After having all the dinner, the husband says, I was only kidding with you. Or possibly I won't give you any ring. Now, what do you think? Will the wife go to the court against the husband, or can she go to the court against the husband and get her ring back, or rather, get the ring from the husband as a present. So, in all these cases, do you think the aggrieved party has any right over the party who has not performed his promise? In the first case, we saw that your friends don't turn up, so they are not performing their promise. Then we saw your mom did not clean your room, which she had promised. Again, she did not perform her promise. Then we saw your friend did not turn up to play football. Again, he did not perform his promise. And finally, the husband did not perform his promise of giving or presenting a ring to his wife. In all these cases, one of the parties is not performing his promise. Can the other party go to the police and file a complaint? Or can the other party go to the court and file a suit? If you generally think, you'll come to an answer that a wife will never go to a police station against her husband just because he did not give her a ring, or a son will never go to a police station against her mother, filing a complaint against her mother saying she did not clean his room. Likewise, friends will never file cases against each other for not turning up to play football or for a dinner party. However, my question is not if a particular person will or no. My question is if that aggrieved party can or no. Does the aggrieved party have a right to file a suit against the other party who has not performed the promise? Can it file a suit? In all the cases, the answer would be a big no. Now, why is the answer no? Because when you had an agreement with your friends for calling them at your place for dinner, you both had agreement, your friends agreed, you also agreed, so there was an agreement. You gave them the offer, they accepted, so there was an agreement. But when you made this agreement, you never had in your mind that if they do not perform their side of promise, you'll drag them to the court. Nor did your friends have this thing in their mind that if you do not prepare a proper dinner for them, they'll take you to the court. When we invite our friends and relatives for dinner, we never intend to file complaints or suits against them because it is a social relationship. As a social being, as a social animal, we enter into agreements, and that is our personal side. On our personal account, we are entering into agreements. So law says when social or domestic agreements, the example I gave you of mother and son, of cleaning the room, or husband and wife, these are domestic agreements. Agreements within a house between husband and wife, between mother and son. Law says I cannot interfere in these agreements. It is a matter of their house. So they have to resolve amongst themselves. They do not have a remedy to come to the court. They do not have a right to file complaints or suits against each other because it's a social contract. It's a domestic contract. So we call them social or domestic or family contracts or family agreements. Now, why do I call them agreements? Is because such agreements do not get the enforceability of law. So such agreements will never become contracts. They remain as agreements only. So please remember, all social and domestic agreements are agreements only, because there is no intention to create a legal relationship. Intention to create a legal relationship means intention to legally bind each other. That is, if one party fails to perform the promise, the other party will take that party to court and get his rights enforced. This is the kind of intention that you need to have. And when you have this kind of an intention, the law says, the court says, that there was an intention to create a legal relationship. You are legally binding each other. Boss, if you do not perform your promise, I'll take you to the court. I'll file a suit against you. I'll file a case against you. If there is such an intention, it is only then that you can call it an intention to create a legal relationship. However, when we transact, or when we deal with our parents, when we deal with our kids, when we deal with our family, when we deal with our friends, we never have such intention. So we say intention to create a legal relationship is absent, or there is no intention to create a legal relationship. And law presumes that when you are having an agreement with your mother, when you are having an agreement with your wife, when you are having an agreement with your friend, that there is no intention to create a legal relationship. You do not intend to create a legal relationship. You do not intend to bind your mother or your wife or your friend legally. Law presumes that you will not take them to court. And when the law presumes that there is no intention to create a legal relationship, how can it enforce? When you only do not have an intention to take the party to the court to file a complaint against that party, the law will never support it. The law can't support you, because it is you who needs to have that intention. So in all the social and domestic agreements, there is no intention to create legal relationship. Thus, there is no contract in such cases. There is only an agreement. Even the law presumes that there is no intention to create legal relationship. However, you go to a shop and you purchase a shirt. You pay for the shirt, but the shop does not give you the shirt. Will you say, oh, this is a social contract, let me not go to the court and enforce my right of getting the shirt? Or you will fight with the shop owner and get your shirt. And if that shop owner doesn't give you the shirt, you will file a complaint against him, you will take him to the court. The answer obviously is the latter. You will fight for your shirt. And if the owner does not give you, you will legally try to enforce your right. You legally try to get the shirt. In such a case, we can say that there existed an intention to create a legal relationship. Because when you gave the money, you always had this in mind, that if the shop owner does not perform his side of promise, boss, I'll take him to the court. Or if the shirt is defective and if he does not get it exchanged, if he does not give you a new shirt against it, so you would always think that if he does not comply, if he does not honor, if he does not meet his promise, you will take a legal action against him. At the same time, the shop owner also thinks on the same lines. The shop owner also thinks that once he gives the shirt, he expects the payment from you. And if you do not pay, he will take a legal action against you. So now both the parties intend to create a legal relationship. Both the parties are of the intention that if the other party does not perform as promised, I am going to take a legal action. If this is the case, then we can say that intention to create a legal action or intention to create a legal relationship is present. I'll give you one more example. Let's say you take a house on rent, you enter into an agreement with a prospective landlord for taking his house on rent. You pay some deposit and you pay 3 months rent in advance. However, the next day the landlord comes to you and says that the house is not vacant and you need to wait 6 months to get the house for your stay. Now, in the agreement, it was agreed that you'll get the house from the very next day. However, he is not vacating the house and has collected rent from you. What will you do in this case? Will you say, oh, this is a social contract, so let me not go to the court against this landlord? Or you will say, he has taken deposit from me, he has taken rent from me in advance, I've paid rent in advance. So now I'm not going to allow him to fool me because the agreement has been done. You have paid the rent, however, he does not give you the house to stay. So, in this case, what you'll do is immediately you'll file a complaint against him or you'll take him to the court asking him to vacate the house and give it to you because you've taken it on hire. So, we are seeing some examples wherein you do not mind if the other party does not perform the contract. And we have seen some examples where it is not okay with you. You mind if the other party does not perform the contract or does not perform his side of promise. So, the agreements where you do not mind is social and domestic agreements. But the agreements or contracts where you mind and where you want the other party to perform the contract, such agreements are of which nature? They are of business nature. So all agreements and contracts which are of business nature, you'll always have an intention. You'll always have an intention that you want to go and file a suit against that party in case that party does not perform the contract. And even the law presumes that the intention to create a legal relationship exists in all business contracts. This is a very important sentence. Law presumes the presence of intention to create a legal relationship in business contracts. The law presumes, this is the important word, even if you don't express it in the transaction, even if you do not express it to the other party, communicate to the other party, the law will still presume that there was an intention to create a legal relation. You went to the shop to buy a shirt. What do? You generally tell the shop owner that you want to buy a shirt. He shows you some shirts. You select a shirt and you pay for it and you take the shirt. However, when you are paying for the shirt, you do not tell him that if you do not give me the shirt, I'll go to the court against you. Nor does he tell you when he gives the shirt that if you do not give me the payment, I'll go to the court against you. But it is presumed from both the sides, it is assumed from both the sides that when you are entering into a business contract, there is an intention to create a legal relationship. Same is the case when you go for buying some goods, any kind of goods. Let's say you go to buy some watch, or you go to buy some bike or any vehicle, car. So when you are purchasing it, you do not tell him, if you do not perform your promise, I'll go to the court. If you communicate this, well and good. If you do not communicate this, the law will still presume that there was an intention to create a legal relationship. So, if the other party does not deliver you the car or the bike or the watch, as the case may be, you can take him to the court and get your right enforced. So, this is very important, the intention to create legal relationship. This is the topic that students tend to forget very soon. Students tend to remember capacity to contract, students tend to remember lawful agreement, lawful object, lawful consideration, students tend to remember free consent. But this is something they tend to forget. I have invested this much of time so that you do not forget this, because it is frequently asked in exams. So please prepare this topic or this essential pretty thoroughly, so that you do not lose marks in exams.